What the hell do you want from me? Those are the first words that a young man named Miguel said to me. Now, what you need to know about Miguel is that he had been in the foster care system since he was a little boy. His mother was a drug addict. One day, after years of drug abuse, she overdosed and died. So imagine everything you know in terms of your reality and your family, and all of a sudden it was torn apart, almost overnight. And a very long journey in the child welfare system began. The foster parents, something would come up in their life and they couldn't keep him as a foster child, or a social worker would get a new job or move out of the area. And so that pattern of distrust and anger and abandonment just repeated itself over and over and over again. And this became Miguel's story. When I met him, I was just hired to be his counselor in this program for youth who were transitioning out of the foster care system. And so there I was, face to face with Miguel that day, who just saw me as another person passing through his life, but didn't really care, and then I'd be on my way. And so that first day, when I went up all excited to meet him, this new young man I was going to be mentoring and counseling, he looked right at me and said, "What the hell do you want with me, man?" And walked away. A lot of the issues that Miguel was going through and struggling with and dealing with were exactly what kids are going through today. Our team did a survey of 1,800 teens online, and this was the question we asked them. It was an anonymous survey of teenagers, and the question was, "I'm currently lying to my parents about." And the number one answer, over 31% of the kids said, suicidal thoughts. Just a few years ago, suicide became the second leading cause of death, just behind accidents, of teenagers today. So clearly there's an issue that's in every community. These are three practical ideas that you can start to apply today in your relationship with your teenager. The first one is that connection is currency. Every kid is one caring adult away from being a success story. Now, Miguel was absolutely determined to keep me at arm's length. Like, he wanted to show me that he had no need for me whatsoever. But I had one advantage. I had sort of like an ace up my sleeve, if you will, that Miguel didn't anticipate. I had a car. So whether he wanted to admit it or not, I now had some value to him. But I can't tell you how many miles we put on my car driving around listening to Bone Thugs and Harmony. So doing those things with Miguel, over time, that connection led to credibility. The second one is we have to learn to listen and not lecture. Lectures are basically teen repellent. And the kids never actually hear the words they're saying. It's just wah, 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 right? The key is that we have to start to train ourselves to go into listening mode and not lecturing mode. But sometimes we miss the point that they're not quite ready to talk about something. And we have to really also train ourselves to think about when is the right time to have the conversations that we want to have. And this is not easy, I get it. I don't want to make it sound like my relationship with Miguel was all rosy. He and I hit some major bumps in the road. We were sitting in my car, and he just started cursing at me and yelling. But what was amazing was that very quickly, all that anger and that vitriol turned to tears. And it just started flowing and flowing and flowing and pouring out of him. And he talked about how lost he felt in his life, and how alone he felt, and how he felt like adulthood was just coming at him like a high-speed train, and he had no idea what to do with it. And it was really the first time in the over 2 years that I was working with him at that point that he got really real with me. I mean, he really let me in and really let me see what was going on. But if I had pushed it any sooner, there's no way I would have been able to get there with him. He had to get there in his own time. And he was able to really start to let go of some of the stuff that he'd been holding in for years and years and years. And it ended up being a major turning point in his life. We have to learn to listen and not lecture. Now, the third major key that I want to share with you tonight is that we have to make sure we learn to choose our battles wisely. And this is the hard stuff of parenting. Can I let go of this? I see parents often, unnecessarily at times, weaken their relationship with their kid about, and it's school. According to recent research done by the American Psychological Association, 45% of teenagers report being stressed about school. And I shared with you before the suicide statistics. It's become the second leading cause of death in the United States amongst teenagers. And it's also known that suicide rates spike significantly during the school year. Now, don't get me wrong, school is important, and we should nurture it and support it, but if they are struggling, we have to recognize that it's not the end of the world. That at the end of the day, what they really need is a sense of character, a sense of values. We need them to be good citizens. We need them to have a sense of self-confidence. We need them to know who they are and where they're going and how to make good decisions. If we help them become good people and have good values, they're going to turn out okay. So school is important, but the question is, we have to ask, is it the most important thing? School is important, but it's not worth going into mental health treatment over. And it's certainly not worth dying over. So I think we got to support our kids in being the best student that they can be. If they are struggling, if they're falling behind, then here's the question I think we really need to be asking ourselves. What can they be successful at? So maybe they're not naturally a student. Maybe academics aren't their thing. What are they good at? Are they really good at a particular sport or an instrument, or it's some kind of community service? Are they good at leadership? Are they good at a trade? Are they good with their hands? Help them find the thing that they can be successful at and nurture that. Every kid is one caring adult away from being a success story.